Good morning, everyone. It's again January the 5th, 2025. This is just part 3 now that I'm putting up of the series of what the police chief interviews have had to say, and what I want to say about the police chief interviews from my perspective as well. And we are seeing a lot more of the female homicides, and the one that he was talking about in his interview there, and the Ethiopian woman in the park there, that was shocking, because one thing, it was in an open park in the middle of the day. Children were playing in the playground. The woman's children had to see her being killed, which should never have happened. Also, it's frightening not only for the community, but it was frightening for me, because I recognized that particular playground and park that the women and children were in broad daylight, because my grandchildren would be going to that park as well, because during the day, because what mom and dad do, like I did, was when my children were young, would I be taking them to various playgrounds and parks in the city, so they wouldn't get bored at just one park. And it was exciting to go to different parks, and this is one of the parks that they would have possibly been in, maybe, and taken to when this happened. So they might have been there at the time that this incident occurred. It's always that possibility. So it's a very, very scary thing for the community to see something like that, which is something I definitely wanted to add, that if you don't think it can happen to you, it just might happen to you. And it's, like I said, it's all over the city, and we don't know when and where anyone's going to strike anymore. And it's certainly not the safe streets that I remember growing up here in Ottawa as a child, where we didn't have to worry about things like this. And it's such a worry that, I mean, my parents could put me out 9:30 in the morning. I could go around to the various parks, do things, and they didn't have to even worry about supervising me. They know I wasn't going to get myself into trouble. And today, wherever parents have to go, it seems like, and the children have to go and need that to exercise and to do things, the parents need to truck along with them to try and supervise and try and protect the children. And that should never be. And I just realize, in my old age now, just how important that freedom was to me as a child. And our children are not getting that freedom. And I see from, like I said, this recent police chief's only been in this position for 2 years, and he's been doing a wonderful job of trying to put a team together through low morale, not enough staffing, and we still don't have enough staffing. That's quite obvious. And as he said, this is where we're short on staff for the amount of size of our city as it's grown since 2000, since amalgamation. And it's very difficult for everyone to be everywhere at the same time. And I know, even as a grandmother and a mother, having children, when you've got 5 children going in 5 different directions, there's no way you can be going in every direction at the same time. So it's really a complicated situation that we've got. And I think what we have is a lot of thinking to do, a lot of reintegrating things, rethinking about what did we do in the past, or how can we go towards the future. And I think we're making small steps forward. But what I'm seeing here is that he's got a 3-step plan for 3 years to try and get things back on track here. And this is what I honestly see with the governments right now, and how important the governments are for funding and everything else. And right now, all I see is between the governments just it's starting to look more like a battlefield around the world. And it's like, okay, it's who's going to be the last person standing with all the infighting and that. And it's nice to see no infighting here. The police chief's doing his best to try and straighten the situation out. But as I always tried to explain, that as the federal government said with the housing, they're looking forward to do a plan to try and do to 2031, and to get to a lot of housing built, and they put these plans in place. And then, like the turmoil we're in right now with the government, we have no idea if the next government coming in is just going to axe the whole plan and start from scratch. And just to give you another idea, was when we just launched another ship, another battleship, and this was just prior to Christmas. And we've, over the 15 years that the present Liberal government's been in, we've managed to get Coast Guard cutters that we needed, icebreakers that we needed. We've got more supply, more new planes. We've got some new subs in that for the literally to defend our country, which is what they're complaining in the States about. And we're still trying to scramble. How do we look after the border and that? And when it takes 15 years to just get what we've got planned in place now, and another government comes along, and it was amazing because years ago we had the Liberal government in place. They had actually got a plan in place. They were putting financing that to build up our national defense. And along comes the Conservative government. They came in under Harper, and he axed everything. And they had to start from scratch again. And it's taken a lot of money, a lot of time, and we have to realize we can't do things overnight. And this is what I grew up with, knowing from my parents, my grandparents said, well, don't be in such a hurry to, for an example, grow up. Boy, when you grow up, here I am maybe 10 years old or so wanting to be an adult. And I just had that discussion with my 12-year-old grandchild there the other day. She was in such a hurry to grow up and be a grown-up because she wanted all this freedom and to do what she wanted. And I had to tell her, well, my mom told me don't be in such a hurry to grow up, because she said, why? And I said, well, when you get grown up, you have all these grown-up problems. And it's even worse quite often to try and settle all your grown-up problems. Like, look at your mom and dad, all the problems that they have just trying to raise you guys. So she had to think about that. And then she thought, you're kind of right in a way. I still like to be grown up. Gosh, I hate having to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. And then I just looked at her and I said, well, that's normal. You have school the next day. But if you're going to make it as an adult, you need your schooling too, and you need your rest. And then she says, oh, okay, Grandma, I get it. So it's nice to be able to sit and reason with her too, and have that interaction with her. And that's the important thing too, is that intergenerational access with her. So, we're going through this generation after generation. Politics is like every time we have a turnover, something else goes wrong. So, and he is right. We're making gains. Some of them are slow, some of them are better. And I just wanted to put this out to make people realize that things don't come at the snap of your fingers or overnight. And I can't stress that enough. I've seen this, and with my parents, and I can't remember what it was. It was something I wanted so badly. I don't know if it was a doll maybe, when I was little. And I wanted it. And my parents, I guess, couldn't afford it really at the time. And they said, well, you're going to have to wait. And if you want it that badly, then you're going to have to earn it. So I remember I was babysitting. So I earned some money there. I got a bit of money for my birthday and a bit of money for Christmas. And I had to put that money, and I finally put all that money together to be able to buy that doll or whatever it was that I wanted, because I don't know if it was a doll, I can't remember, but there was something I really badly wanted at that time when I was young. And I had to wait for it. And sometimes you appreciate it when you have to work for it and you have to wait for it in the end. And I don't know if people can understand that. But it was like myself, and from what I learned when I was young, when I first started working even, and I was 18, or no, this is when I would have been in my 22, I guess. And I first had my first real job, and I fell in love, literally, with this old a jacket, and it was one of those, oh my goodness, what do you call them, suede jackets with the long fringes on it. And I did what my parents told me, and I saved up my money. And back then, like when I was 22, it was like $1.65 an hour as far as the minimum wage. It was $75, and by the time I paid for it and got that jacket, I really appreciated it a lot more. So I'm really just, there's so much more I want to talk about, but again, I don't want to make this video too long. I'm just trying to explain where I'm coming from, to try and explain it, and even trying to explain it to my granddaughter, at the age of 12, where she's in such a hurry to grow up. And sometimes when I had to tell her, well, it's nice to grow up, but I've got all these responsibilities, and there's a lot more responsibilities when you're adult. And the grandma literally would not mind going back to be a child again and let mom and dad have all the worries. So I'm going to leave it there today, and take care, everyone, and we'll talk again soon. And be safe and watch your surroundings. Bye-bye.